What's going on, hockey fans? Our elite squad has been selected. And the word elite is good for it. But premier, pretty tough to make. Pretty incredible. A lot of toughness to get onto this next squad here, Lucas. The USPHL All Dan K and All Lucas J premier squads. You know the percentage, folks, of players from the Premier that will make these squads today? Just 2.4%. Just 2.4% of the 64 teams playing around USPHL Nation will have representatives making these squads today. Two teams picked, one for myself, Dan K, and one for the man I introduce in now, my right-hand man, Mike Consigliere. Mon frere from another mayor, Lucas Jones. Welcome in.
I mean, if we thought that the elite was difficult, with just over 7% of players being selected, 2%, to put the numbers kind of in perspective for the folks at home, in the Premier, there are more teams than there are spots on our two teams.
Yep.
And for the last couple of years, there's always been that conversation. Do we open it up? Do we create more squads out of this? And for right now, for this year, I think we decided to keep it the way it is. There is the opportunity, though, Dan, for some more teams to come into the mix to get some more representation down the line. But how could that possibly even happen?
Well, Lucas, there are some conversations going on right now, and we may have some pretty cool announcements over this offseason about the future of the All Dan K and All Lucas J teams. There will be some fun to come. Let's just say that. There's going to be a lot left to go with that one. But before we get there, we're going to pick the squads here, Lucas. And the way these things will start, we will pick our starting lineups fueled by GMU Sport. That's gmusport.com, the best in the business. You go there right now, USPHL 22 at checkout. You can get your protein powder. You can get your pre-workout. You can get your post-workout. Get it all. And you're going to get it at 22% off. Lucas and I will be sharing links that go with this for our players, coaches, and parents that have an even better deal and offer on the table for you than that 22%. So you can go check those out at _Dan K Show or dankshow.com. Lucas, starting lineups, we'll have 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, a goalie, a head coach, a broadcaster, and an owner. That'll be the teams that we create as our starting lineups. We will then move on, pick 9 forwards, 4 defensemen, 2 extra skaters, any positions we'd like, 2 more goalies to go with our starting goalie, and 2 more coaches. So that'll be the full entirety of the team. I won the coin toss before this thing started up. I have selected to go first.
You always do, but I will say this. It tends to work out in our favor, I think, if you go first, because you get your first pick at the forwards. I get to double up on defensemen later down the road. It works for now.
We start. First pick, I got to go with this guy because I feel like we covered him for years, right? Like if some of these guys, you just feel like the game's not going to be the same when you don't see him taking the ice in the USPHL. And life was never rough when your name was Michael Clough, Lucas. And that is for sure. Michael Clough is somebody I bring in. We're going to be naming captaincies and things like that for these teams. So Michael Clough's the guy who would be in the running for that captaincy. This is 35 goals, 42 assists, 77 points on the year for him, 7 power play goals, 13 power play assists. Bigger numbers, 5 shorthanded points for this young man this year. It's a guy that just got the job done throughout his career. I'm going to put him, how about with the all-time leading point getter in the history of the USPHL, Bailey Bird. And this guy is soaring through the air from the Toledo Cherokee. You put Bailey Bird with Michael Clough, what do I need? I need creativity. I need one of those guys who can kind of buzz around the ice. And this is a year 2002 with one more year left under his belt. I'm going to go to Fresno. And I'm not going to go Skversky. I'm not going to go Alexanian. I'm not going to go Gavrilenko. I'm going to go to the 4th leading scorer on that ridiculously offensively minded Fresno Monsters team, It's McNasty, I call him. Tyler McNeil. Hear me out on this one. Tyler McNeil, 40 goals, 55 assists on the year. He was averaging nearly 3 points per game, 2.88 points per game. When I watched him in New England, when we got a chance to call a game for them, and I got hit by a puck while calling the game, he was just a guy who they had to play at 8 a.m. Eastern time. That's 5 a.m. West Coast time. They had to wake up basically at 3 a.m. local time to go play a hockey game. And he was the best looking player on the ice for either side. The kid just got the job done, moved from end to end. Blue line to blue line was quick. He won the neutral ice game. He could score the puck. He could pass the puck. I like my top line. Tyler McNeil, Michael Clough, Bailey Bird.
I mean, Bird had such a good season, and just kind of the heart and soul of that squad. Same thing with Michael Clough. Whenever it felt like that Blue Ox team got down, he was right there leading the charge. And I mean, the season McNeil put together, almost 3 points per game. That's video game style stuff. That is an impressive top line here. But as always, I think I've got a pretty good counterpunch to what you throw out. I'm going to start with 100-point getter. We had 300-point getters this season in the USPHL Premier. I'm going to take one of them from my side. A young man who we got a chance to interview this season. Absolutely great on the ice, great off the ice. Heath Mensch. What a job. 45 goals, 57 assists, 102 points. You're talking 17 power play goals, 19 power play assists. Just an all-around stud. He's going to be matched up with Andreas Fluteau, and if my French was half as good, and if my announcing was 8 times as good, I could pull off what happens every time he scores a goal at Metro. It's an incredible goal call, and you love to hear it. I can't do it, but you know what? Andreas Fluteau is going to add his little breed of skill. And with them, I'm going to pair up somebody who I was just blown away with all season long. I said it on a broadcast. If the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights need a big goal, you can almost guarantee it's going to come off the stick of Teague Porter. And so many times that prophecy rang true. Teague Porter is a first-line guy. I think he's a starting lineup guy. Just an absolutely creative, top-notch skater.
Yeah, and you look at Teague Porter, Lucas, six power play goals, 6 power play assists. The big number I like is from Heath Mensch. He played 41 games this season. 11 times he scored the game-winning goal. That was tied for the most in the league with who? Bailey Bird, who I picked on my first forward line. It tells you the importance of scoring the goals that matter. The guys who score the goals that matter help you win games. Let's go to the blue line. Who do you got on defense?
Well, I think this is even harder. Like you talk about trying to pick essentially 7 defensemen out of the entire USPHL Premier. You got to go with a little bit of mix and match. I think first off, I'm going to go with Hunter Meyer from the Cyclones. 3 goals, 38 assists. 3 goals, 38 assists from Hunter Meyer. And Meyer, if he's not handing the puck off to someone who's scoring, he's knocking you back at the blue line. He plays really well back there. I love the way he gets up against the boards. So I'm going to pair him with another fundamental defenseman. I'm going to pair him up with Brendan Pomerantz. Brendan Pomerantz coming from the Rockets Hockey Club. These are 2 squads that know the importance of defense. They know the importance of being tough in the neutral zone. And these 2 skaters, Meyer and Pomerantz, are the guys who lead that charge game in and game out.
Yeah, you watch these 2 guys. They get the job done. I like what you pick there, but you've left me 2 pretty incredible picks for my D pair. These are my top 2 guys right now. You didn't touch either of them. Shane Romback from the Detroit Fighting Irish and Jordan Steer of the Wisconsin Rapids Hurricanes. I just picked 4th overall, the highest scoring defenseman in USPHL history. I just got him 4th overall. Jordan Steer, this is back-to-back years on the All-Dan K team. Incredible accomplishment for him. Shane Romback, I talked about him all year. He was one of the best defensemen in the game. What a grab for Detroit. The Fighting Irish, they worked through this guy all season long. 23 goals, 28 assists, 11 power play goals, 11 power play assists. He was just he's 1 for 1 in the shootout this year. Everywhere you needed Shane Romback to be good, he was great. That's my top D pair. I would have picked that one if you let me go first. I'm pretty happy with my pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think Steer is you define him as USPHL legacy at this point, a name that fans have known for a while. And Shane Romback, what an influential player for a Detroit Fighting Irish team. That you want to talk about second half comeback squads. The Detroit Fighting Irish really proved themselves as a very very good team inside of that Midwest division. I mean, they had a good run and almost made it to nationals.
Yeah, now we go between the pipes. And this one's tough because there's two guys I can think of here for the first goalie pick. And one is Alexander the Great Carone from the Florida Eels. The other's Joey Cormier. And I got to go here to the stat book, right? And you go to the stat sheet and you start to kind of boil it down to the numbers. And who am I going to pick as my guy? Because I have a feeling the other one's going to be gone by the time I go to select. 35 games played for Cormier, 26-4-3-0, 910 shots against this young man. That was in the top 14 in the country. It was 14th overall in the country, 910 shots faced. He goals against average wise was stellar. He led the league in wins by 6 with this 26, so 1.79 goals against, a 934 save percentage, 5 shutouts on the season. I got to go Joey Cormier of the Toledo Cherokee in the net as the first overall pick in the All-Dan K team.
Cormier is an absolute force to be reckoned with, right? And I think everyone from the Great Lakes division knows that very well. If he's in net, you're going to have yourself a hard time. Absolutely incredible for that squad. And, I think that there's a lot of obviously fantastic netminders throughout the league. You've got so many great teams, individual efforts that we've talked about time and time again. But I really want to highlight in my first pick here for netminders is someone who last year was incredible, came back this year, tried to take it all the way back. They weren't able to make it. I'm going with Alexander Carone, as you say, Dan, for the Florida Eels. You look at the kind of season he had, very quietly putting together numbers that were in every way better than what he had last year. 18-3-0 this year, 3 more wins than he had last year. You talk about shaving .2 off that goals against average, giving him a 2.52. The save percentage, the slight bump to the .920. These numbers are elite. And Dan, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. You never do. But personally, I'm shocked that Carone doesn't have a commitment for next year for the next level, right? And it's because it's not just he has the skills, he has the size, he has the intelligence, he has the intuition. I've seen him make saves I don't know if anybody else could have made at that Nationals tournament. So like I say, you never know what's going on behind the scenes, but man, this kid is just so incredibly talented.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that you just be able to pick out of a hat where he wants to go, right? Like it's that good, and he fits the mold of next level net mining. He's correctly sized. He looks the part, right? Like I always say, he looks like an NHL veteran already. Like, and so it's a heck of a pick, man. Alexander the Great has been stellar. You're going to get the first pick here, Lucas, for head coach.
Well, I said it on the elite one. When you win a national championship, you tend to end up on a few lists.
Yep.
And Jason Kilcoyne, the national championship head coach of the national champion Rockets Hockey Club, I mean, they were the sole representative there, and they barely escaped that Aviators squad, which, you look at it and you think to yourself, man, I wish I could have seen the Aviators in the national championship as well, because the Rockets made it all the way and they were national champions. I wish I could have seen what the Aviators had done. But Jason Kilcoyne is just, I spent some time on the bench with him, as I do with a lot of these coaches, and, just rolling, just keeps the lines rolling, moves up and down the bench, very active. He's a watcher. He watches the game, he studies the game, and he's just so impressive.
My pick for head coach, this guy was doing it all by his lonesome this year at the elite and premier level. He took an organization that, had so much success in past years with the Todd Pococks of the world behind the bench. And they they fell off a bit in the win-loss category. They wanted to find kind of that winning way yet again. And they came into town with lightning Rod Simmons, who took the bench, took this organization over, and really found the winning ways. They found a way to beat a Tampa Bay Junior squad, Lucas, in the Premier that we thought was going to go win a national championship.
Yep.
So they went into enemy territory. They were able to get that big upset. I think Rod Simmons is a lot to blame for that. I'm using blame in a good way, though. Here, I think you blame him in a good way, and he's pretty darn stellar. I got Lightning Rod Simmons. I love the season he put together.
Yeah, what a job. And it's no surprise to see an announcement for the Florida Junior Blades today that he will once again be coming back as the head coach and director of hockey operations for the 22-23 season. Congratulations to Coach. What an incredible season he put together.
Let's go to the broadcasters booth now. We couldn't. There's 64 teams, okay? There's 64 teams. We can't just pick two broadcasters. That would be tough. That would be a tough selection. So we're going to build our broadcast teams, Lucas. So I am going to start, and I am going to tell you that my favorite broadcast team I listened to all year was not the Dan K show, not Lucas and Dan K, but it was when two guys from competing organizations came together out in the mountain region to call a playoff series, and it was fun to watch. They kept me up all night because the games just wouldn't end, and they all kept going OT. But it was incredible hockey to watch, and even better with these voices behind the scenes. Brendan Price and Stephen Bell. Stephen Bell, congratulations on going to the Anaheim Ducks. That is absolutely amazing. I want to talk about the USPHL. Doesn't just get our players to the next level. Look at Stephen Bell, baby. He's going on the Anaheim Ducks. He will be Luke Snyder's boss one day. Hopefully he is nice to us because we picked him. But no, Stephen Bell and Brendan Price. And then I want to go Brian Gendreau, ice side, from the Hudson Havoc. He stepped into some tough shoes to fill out there. They had some great broadcasting going on in Brian Moose. And Gendreau comes into town and just shows that Brett Wall gets it yet again. The Hudson Havoc, do it right, top to bottom. I get Stephen Bell, Brendan Price, Brian Gendreau.
Yeah, Stefan and Brendan, they're just so good. And they work so well together. They work so well when they're on their own. And I think they're students of the game as well, and they love they love the teams that they work for, and they just wear it on their sleeve. And Gendreau, I think, is part of this Hudson Havoc organization that really does put a lot of attention to detail. Right? It's the little things with them. It's it comes down to one story of them calling me ahead of time, knowing there might be a problem with their hockey TV setup. Instead of being reactionary, proactive. You love to see that from an organization. You got some good voices on your side, Dan.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good group. And you look at it, you talk about it, Lucas. I don't know if they wear it on their sleeve. I think they more wear it on their crest, like right here, like in the chest area. That's usually where the apparel will put your stuff. But no, I agree. Let's hear who you got, Lucas. I feel like you got to have some good guys to pick from here.
So, funnily enough, in an entire USPHL nation of broadcasters, I picked three guys from the same division. I don't know how that worked out, but I think it might say something about how seriously the division takes its game day operations, how seriously they take, the multimedia presentation, how seriously they take, living in 2022 in terms of being hockey organizations. I've got Matt Prier, Dan Bradley, and Zeke Fravor. Prier from the Metro Jets organization, Dan Bradley with the Cincinnati Junior Cyclones, Zeke Fravor with the Toledo Cherokee. I just think that they all work really well. They would work together very well personality-wise. I think that individually, again, they're all just fantastic. And, from an audio engineering perspective, they've all got slightly different voices, so I could mix them really well if we all did a podcast together. Yeah, they all take up a different sonic space, which actually helps out really well. But they've done such a good job. And you know what? They came out to nationals and they all crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. They were part of one of the most ambitious nationals presentations of all time. Never before attempted in USPHL history to do what we did this year, and they were such an integral part of it. It could not have been done without all three of them.
Yeah, never before attempted in any of the other leagues either. I mean, that's the big thing right there, right? It's something that when you want to get better, you got to be better, and guys like this are who make you better. They don't just people don't understand the importance of broadcasting for your local team, for your junior hockey team, for your organization. That's the voice. That's the face that opens the door and welcomes you into the building, right? Like, And if it's the guy from what is it, Scary Movie, saying "Take my strong hand" and putting his hand in the mashed potatoes, then you might not want to go to that house, right? But if it's Matt Prier, if it's Dan Bradley, if it's Zeke Fraver, if it's Stephen Bell, Brendan Price, Brian Gendreau, these guys who care about the product, these guys who care about the brand, the guys who care about making it sound and appear professional, then you don't got a problem, man. It changes the game. It changes what you do. And there's so many folks still behind the eight ball in the understanding of the importance of it all. But Lucas and I will continue to champion it till the end of times. Let's champion our owners, Lucas. Who's going to own these teams? I'm going to Potomac, and I'm taking RJ Ziegler. They
Yeah.
didn't make the playoffs in the Elite Premier, but I just adore anybody who's willing to take the leap. You know what I mean? Take the chance and try to put it together. RJ has done just that in Potomac, and there are huge things to come out of RJ and the whole Potomac squad.
Well, I kind of made that face because I had a feeling you were going to go there. RJ, again, you want to talk about being proactive. You want to talk about making the investments. You need someone like that, and RJ has just been everything you want out of an owner. He is involved, and then he lets the coaches do what they do. Right, everyone in their own space, and he kind of oversees the whole thing. I think he's going to be one of the titans of the game in the next few years, certainly. And, I think another person who fits all those same qualities, Dan, if we head out to a team that did pretty okay for their first year, I mean, they had both teams go to the national tournament, and they had both teams completely dominate in their division in their first season, and they're getting an NCDC team in their second year. So I'd say having Jody Cordero from the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights is a pretty good asset to have on my side. That is development. That is strong from the ground up. He brought in Ray Welsh, one of the best recruiters in the game. And Cordero, he steers that ship, and he's rock solid right now.
Absolutely rock solid. Cordero is, I mean, you look at what they're doing up there in Wilkes-Barre, they're changing the game. That's putting your money where your mouth is, right? That is an investment and a half for those guys, and they are really working hard up there in Wilkes-Barre. Let's get to our forwards now. Lucas, you will get the first three. I will get the next six in a row. So be smart about these three you pick at forward.
Yeah, these are always a little bit difficult here, but I want to go with a nice trio. I think here of skaters who can kind of do a little bit of everything and prove that they can do a little bit of everything, not just this year but in years past. We're going to start with Cade Herrera. Cade Herrera had a great season, and I like the way that he's able to compete in a high-flying division. Jackson Tillinghast, what a grinder Jackson Tillinghast is, and then when you give him time and space, he just absolutely shows up. And on the centerman position there, I want to go with Torrin Haddon Harris, who for the Florida Eels this year, 88 points in 43 games, 6 game winning goals. You talk about quietly successful. Torrin Haddon Harris is that guy. 5'10", 185, no slouch in the size category. I think this line is great.
Possible to be quietly successful. I mean, in what we do, because I don't know if we could be quietly successful.
No, I don't think so. I
But
think I think we mostly, if we were quietly successful, Dan, I think it would just be a show on NPR.
it would be, honestly, it sounds very good. Welcome to hockey with Dan Campbell. All right, now thoughts for my thoughts here, Lucas, are going to be, you know how I like to play the game of hockey. I like guys who can get out there and score. And one big thing about the All Dan K team is if you haven't watched the All Madden documentary yet about John Madden after he passed away there, I would go check it out because the All Madden team was always one. Lawrence Taylor talked about it. And he said, we didn't care about the Pro Bowl team. We didn't care about the All Pro. We cared about the All Madden. When the All Madden came out, we knew that that was the group of guys that you wanted on your team. If they were on All Madden's team, that's what you wanted. And it's kind of how I feel about the All Dan K team here, right? And you look at the first pick I'm going to make, it's Vesey Lampin, lighting the Lampin in Palm Beach. This is a Palm Beach team that struggled at times in their first season. You know, they didn't win the most games, they didn't score the most goals, but everywhere we went, everybody discussed Vesey Lampin and just how good he was, and dealing with him on the ice as being a headache. I'll tell you that much. Next up, I'm going to go to the New York Aviators, and I'm going to go to a guy who has been absolutely great all year long, Oliver Monk. And Monk, it's like was that an old show, Monk, where the guy had like the OCD and he'd wash his hands a lot, but he'd solve crimes. This guy doesn't need to do any of that. He's just out there scoring goals. That's all he does. He's solving crimes of goal scoring. That's what he's all about. And put them both, why not with the second all-time leading point getter in the history of the USPHL, Drake Barnish?
You're just scooping up these names like nothing, Dan. I mean, that's a great line. I love Drake Barnish there as well, and you make some good points about Vesey Lampin. He was, I think, on the minds of coaches around the USPHL all year.
Yeah, and you look at it, I now have Bailey Bird, the all-time leading point getter in the league on this team. Jordan Steer, the all-time leading defenseman scorer in the league's history. I have Drake Barnish, the second all-time leading point getter in the league. So why not start my next forward line with Stepan Skaversky, who set the single-season record for points scored with 115 points for Fresno. Let's just do that. I'll just take all the people who've broke all the records. I'm going to keep him with a little West Coast flair here and put Lake Tahoe's jet airliner on there, big old jet airliner, Jet Arminen, carrying this team too far away. He never gets too far away from the net, though. 2.42 points per game on the season, 18 power play assists. Who's my last guy here? This is a guy who I think this is what the model's all about. Jonah Mortensen, Tampa Bay Juniors forward. This kid is made of boulder. This kid's a rock. Like, he just battles. I got to the Florida playoffs maybe about 5-6 hours early in the day to start setting things up for my work that I was doing there, watching the event, everything. And Jonah Mortensen, all I could hear was just noise. And I'm like, what is that? Where is that coming from? Brett Strode of the Tampa Bay Juniors goes, oh, yeah, that's Jonah. He's getting in his hands work right now. He was there before any other coach showed up. He leaves after everyone leaves. This is a guy that puts in the work each and every day that you don't see on the ice, that you don't see each and every day, that you don't get promoted in any other league other than the USPHL with an NK show.
It's you have to leave some points for me. I need to be able to grab some guys with some points here.
I took Jonah, who's more going to be the facilitator on this squad.
No, that's right. And Mortensen just has so much potential, and like you say, every time you talk about him, it's always some kind of accolade or accomplishment or something that's being done behind the scenes. And what a year Skaversky put together as well. 115 points. That is those. If you had that come up in a Stratomatic game, you think, well, the algorithm's broken, right? That doesn't make any sense. And you've taken some good guys, but you left me with some interesting choices here to make on my final two forward lines. I want to start with Hayden Maslowski from the Minnesota Blue Ox, 25 power play points out of his 74 total points in the regular season. That's awesome. I love that. 21 power play assists. He is a absolute creator. Joining him is going to be Cam Croteau and Tyler Isherwood, who is an 0-4 with 48 points on the season. That is such an accomplishment to be a skater with that many years left, being this successful in the USPHL Premier, should really be opening everyone's eyes up if they're not already open to Tyler Isherwood.
Yeah, I think Isherwood's a great pickup, and it's one of those guys. Well, what they're doing in Columbus, the news just came out that they have a couple of youth organizations joining the fray and rebranding as the Columbus Mavericks, and you just see how that organization continues to grow. The ownership gets it, coaching staff gets it. They're a group that are going to continue to win games in bunches. Hayden Maslowski, you love him, right? Like, I talked about Michael Clough out there, and a lot of the Blue Ox fans, they really love Maslowski as well. And they said, do not sleep on Hayden Maslowski. Lights Cameron Croteau. Come on, who's better than that with the Florida Junior Blades? It's a great forward line, Lucas. You get three more. You get three more before I get to pick again. Go ahead.
Let's start with going loco for noco. Braden Freifogel, 22, 31, 53 points on the season, 20 power play points as well. I like grabbing as many power play points as I can find throughout the USPHL. I love myself a good power play line, and he's going to be joined by Drew Iannucci, such a legacy, and just such a leader and he's going to be someone that works well, I think, wherever he goes, and he's always been, a really great presence on that team. And Jacob Howell. Now, Jacob Howell, I know one
Anna,
of your favorites.
yeah, man, my guy.
It's he's your guy, but you know what? I think this might be like my leadership line because Jacob Howell has been, and when I say he's been chirping us, I mean it in the best way possible, all season long in our DMs. But you know what? Every time he said, "You better watch this weekend," the boys went out and won. Right?
Yep.
Every time he said, "You better watch what happens this weekend," and then I want to see us in the top 10, they went out and they did exactly what he said they were going to do. So he is, I don't know if he's like a seer or another kind of prophecy guy from a different folklore, but he knew exactly what was going to happen and he wasn't afraid to let us know.
I like it, man. That's Jacob Howell. It's just a guy who gets the job done. He's a leader. He's a leader in the locker room, on and off the ice. Drew Iannucci, come on. This is what it's all about. Is the idea of this is your fourth forward line, Lucas, and I'm looking at guys that I should have picked first that you're taking right now. I have just three forwards left to pick, and I could give you a zillion across the country that I should pick. Right? I could read a list and tell you that we still haven't gotten to two of the top five scorers in the league. We still haven't gotten to about 8 of the top 20 scorers in the league. It's not just about scoring the puck. It's about doing all the little things. And I start here with Nick Cyprian of the Rockets Hockey Club. And Cyprian is a guy who, come Nationals time, just stood on his head, man. Just absolutely showed up for the boys. This is a young guy who worked with Rock City Elite in the offseason and kind of battled hard through that. He's just got so much talent, so much ability, so much capability. Nick Cyprian of the Rockets Hockey Club. I then go with Colin Anna with Wilkes-Barre because T. Porter was that big-time goal scorer for them. But Colin Anna just had skills for days. Speed. He could beat you to the net. It felt like once a game, he'd get a defenseman kind of lulled to sleep at the blue line and just beat him to the front of the net and win one on the backhand for a goal. Colin Anna. And then I go to the super youngster. I'm crazy enough. You think, Dan, there's no way you're going to pick someone from up in Buffalo this year. Just not a lot of wins on the card. I don't know if somebody would get there from Buffalo. Well, guess what? Caden Cranston, 19 goals, 44 assists for the year 2004. Caden Cranston. I could have put Parker Bonsignor here. I wanted some more assisting. Cranston with 1.43 points per game, 9 power play assists, 1 shorthanded assist. He had a game winner this year, battling for that team. I like the work he did. This is the youngest team potentially in the history of the USPHL Premier in Buffalo this year. I like the work Caden Cranston did.
Yeah, I mean, Cranston just putting up those numbers is, just a testament to how hard he works, I think. And you talk about someone so young that can see the ice that well. Again, the future is bright for a skater like that. And, it feels like there's so many names that you just don't get to take a pick on. But I mean, the Premier Division this year, I think, was probably we thought last year was a deep Premier Division with the closures and everything. But I think this year, Dan, was some of the best performances we've seen in the Premier in a few years.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent out there, and that's where we go to the defensemen now. I get my next two, Lucas. I really like my defensemen right now because these are all Dan K picks. And I'm going to tell you, my GM of my elite team, Jacob Smolovich, did reach out to me and tell me that if I don't pick this next defenseman, he would come and physically fight me with fisticuffs. And it's from the Carolina Junior Hurricanes, Tyler Fitro. And when an opposing coach is that adamant about how good you were, you've got to pick that kid. And Tyler Fitro is a guy who gave forwards fits all year. And he was always on the ice against the best of the best in the Southeast Division, which is one of the toughest on the planet. Incredible to watch him all year. I'm going to put him with Noah Main of the Fort Wayne Spacemen. I think the Spacemen's success in past years was always based on outscoring opponents. Well, this year, bringing in Noah Main gave them an opportunity to really change that mentality, to change that mantra, and to play the game on both ends. They won some defensive battles. They won some high scoring affairs, but Noah Main was at the helm of it all with 50 points from the blue line.
You know, I love, as much as I love a defensive defenseman, I think there's really something special about a guy who can kind of do both for you, right? Who can lock things down and who can provide some of that security, but isn't afraid to get into the offensive game, right? And it's a system that works very well out in Fort Wayne. I really like the way that team approached this season, and I think you really crushed it here, Dan.
I like it. Lucas, you get four defensemen in a row. Let's see who you got.
So my second D pair here are two guys I think that really can impact a lot in the neutral zone. It's Parker Chadwell and Logan Lake.
Ooh, okay.
I think these two again. I think would work well together. But I think the biggest thing here is just watching kind of on hockey TV and in person, the way that they're able to move through the neutral zone, the way that they're able to get set up is just really second to none. Chadwell is so good. I mean, Lake with the Moose as well. You love both of these skaters. For the defensive third line here, I thought I'd get a little more creative. Hunter Scanlon from the New York Aviators.
Oh, goal scoring from the blue line, baby.
Absolutely. 32 points, 12 goals, 20 assists. When he rips one, get out of the way. Clear the state. Just go home. Don't get in front of Hunter Scanlon if he's got time and space. And he's an 0-3 as well. 6'2", 205 on the card. And Dan, I'm going to pair him up with someone that's really going to make you hurt a little bit here.
No,
Yeah,
no.
it's Evan Axel from the Steel County Blades.
I thought I was going to pull off the perfection. I thought I was going to pull off
Nope.
the entirety of every defenseman I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, Evan Axel, every time we watched him, so good, so impactful. And 2 years with the Steel County Blades, right? Last year, 28 points. This year, 29 points. He's getting it done, and that's all you can ask from a guy like that. 6'1", 175, and quick, man. So quick on the skates. Could change direction in the blink of an eye.
I love that. Your defensemen right now are locked in, man. I'll tell you what, I can score it in bunches, but you're going to be able to stop the puck in bunches with this squad. I'm going to go to my final D pair here before we get to our extra skaters. I'm going to go loco for noco. I like the way this team played defense all season long, and Evan Wamis was at the start and the finish of that one. He was all over the ice all season long. I'm going to go to Richmond. We're going to go furthest worlds apart almost in the USPHL geographically. Richmond all the way to northern Colorado for this D pair. And I'm going to go Drake Semrad from the Richmond Generals.
Ooh, Semrad. He's definitely made his way a couple of times this year. I think he's certainly an impact player. Nice pick.
Yeah, I like Semrad here. I like the way he worked. It was between him and Matthew Kepke out there in Utah, but I'm going to go with Semrad. Let's get to the extra skaters now. I get these two first. I'm going to start with the Chicago Cougars' own Joey Galino. That's Joe Galino. This was the guy for this team all season long. When you needed a goal, you went to Galino. And I'm going to put him with a defenseman out of Alaska who we have been covering for a few years here now. Don't call him on his cell phone. This Drake ain't picking up. It's Drake Reed of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. So I've got Joe Galino and Drake Reed.
That is some physicality you're picking up there. I like both of those skaters. I mean, I love Drake Reed. It's great watching him playing. Galino, what a dynamic player.
Now, let's get your two extra skaters here because I was nice. We kind of talked before this, and I'm letting you get one of these guys, Lucas. So you kind of called dibs. It was like getting to the car and you called front seat. You called shotgun. So go ahead. Why don't you take that one first?
All right. So we talked about a couple of guys that we knew we wanted to include, and I picked Mr. Reliable. I picked the Iron Man of the USPHL. There is no Iron Man trophy, but I know enough guys with some experience welding, and we might have to make one for him. It's Nick Cesarini, the Iron Man, joining my team as an extra forward. Reliability, dependability, experience, skill, leadership. He's going to be the clubhouse manager. He's going to be the extra forward, the everyman getting it done.
I absolutely love that pick, and we love Cesarini, man. You talk
Yep.
about Nick Cesarini and Patty Hayes. I just saw Patty Hayes got his commitment in. He'll be heading off to Purdue Northwest. Congratulations to Patty. And it's just guys and their families that are just tied into this Metro organization. Hashtag once a Jet, always a Jet. We're not able to use that hashtag because just Q still's not hired us.
We are
Let
not
us be
Jets.
Matt Freer's, let us be Matt Freer's understudies. Bring us into town. We'll come out there. We'll work for you guys. We've still not been hired, so not once a Jet, always a Jet for us, but once a Jet, always a Jet. And the family there, the work they put in, just incredible. And following the Cesarini family and following Nick's journey through the game, man, has been so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. You really everything that's been asked of him, he's done and more. And just one heck of a player.
All right, who's your other heck of a player? Who's your last skater before we get to the Nets for our final two netminders?
Well, I'm gonna take someone here who might I think doesn't quite show up on the point sheet as much as he has impacted a game.
Okay.
And this is why I love these extra defensemen, why I love picking defensemen every year. It's Jake Langheinrich from the
Ooh.
Minnesota Blue Ox. I think watching him in person really sealed the deal for me. We watch a lot of these games on hockey TV, but watching him in person, I think really kind of like I said, sealed the deal on him. Just one of those guys that you feel like you need. He's everywhere at once. He comes through at 5'11", 172, so he's got size, he's got reach. Just patient is the way I would describe him. Just a patient skater looking for his opportunity, doesn't always need to lay out the big body, and you need those guys, and I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, and how do you know a good doctor, Lucas? He's got patience, and they're always willing to wait for you, and that's what it's all about. And that's how you also know a great extra defenseman here to put in your squad. We go between the pipes. You get to pick first for goalkeepers. Let's hear who your next two goalies are. Who do you want to put between the pipes for Team Lucas J?
Well, you gotta. Normally, I'd say you build from the net out, but the way we work this, you don't quite do it. But in the back of your head, I feel like you always have to have that guy who you want. I go with Tade Carmen first up. I
Nice.
mean, it just great season, dependable, reliable, and gets post to post a lot better than some of the guys that you've seen all season long. Just so confident between the pipes. And my third goalie is somebody who absolutely weathered the storm all season at Nationals. He has faced so many shots, faced over 150 shots in pool play at the national tournament. It's Freddie Soderberg. Because, man,
Hey.
what a performance Freddie Soderberg put on. That Metro Jets development program didn't make it out of pool play, but Freddie was just, he's firing.
Yeah, and you look at Freddie Soderberg. This is the guy I want to talk about because he could have been my first overall pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was how good he was this year. Talk about Metro Jets net mining. It's so hard to separate the William Augustines of the world. You talk about Will Augustine, you talk about Louis Pierre Fortier, you talk about Danny Misbehaved and Miscavish, just how good they were in net. It's hard to find a separation between those three because of how good they all are. Freddie Soderberg might have been the best netminder in Metro this year. That's how good Freddie Soderberg was. And it's not an affront to the other three guys. I think they might agree at times. Like he was just that good and he faced that many shots. He was an incredible season for Freddie Soderberg, and we're excited to kind of see where he goes next year with this
Mm-hmm.
MJDP program. I got to go to my net now, Lucas, and I'm going to go first to a good storyline. Okay, I think this is both storylines that are pretty darn good here, and it's Trip Clark of the Northern Cyclones. Okay, this is a young man that started up in Utica, then goes to Charlotte, difficult upper body injury he has to deal with. And maybe it's it. Maybe hockey's done for him, right? Playing in Charlotte. Comes back to Northern this year, gets himself healthy, works all the way back, gets 20 games in, getting a late start to the season. 19 wins, one loss. Just one loss all season long. A 1.82 goals against, a 9.37 saves percentage. Trip Clark Lucas on his career, 47 wins between the pipes. in USPHL skates. What a job by this young netminder. Overall in his career, starting as a youngster in this game where your stats aren't always as good as they wind up being, it's 2.66 goals against in his career over 4 years. I mean, a 916 saves percentage in his career over 4 years. Every single year, his saves percentage, his statistics have gotten better. Every single year, year over year. You talk about the playoffs. He was at 2.25 in the playoffs in his career, 9.24 saves percentage in the playoffs in his career. Guy got it done at all ends of the ice. The last pick is an interesting one. There's a lot of guys I could go with here, but crazy enough, I'm going to go to a guy who was promoted to the NCDC halfway through the season, but still qualifies for the top net mining statistics and led the league in saves percentage and goals against average while he played. Max Macchioni. And Macchioni takes it to Mach 5 each and every time out. 10-2-2 in the Premier, a 1.55 goals against average, a 9.53 saves percentage. This young man in his Premier time on ice was that good, Lucas. And he made the promotion, got moved up to the NCDC level to play for the South Shore Kings. And Max was just taking it to the max all season long.
Yeah, what does it take to get promoted to the NCDC? How about a casual .955 save percentage? That
Yeah,
is,
man.
yeah, that is just, those numbers are otherworldly. Great job for him. And you always like to see the development model working, right? That is so important. Wins and losses are great. Numbers, championships are always important. It's what these kids play for. But the overall model is working for development. That's a good example of it. And Trip Clark, I mean, one loss on the season. That's just one of those things that has to be called out. And what a job he's done. What an absolute grinder Trip Clark is to be able to have that season. And just an incredible journey for him.
We got to finish the squads off now, Lucas. Our coaches that'll be backing up Lightning Rod Simmons for myself and the killer for you, Jason Kilcoyne. I'm going to start. And I'm going to first start with a guy who upstarted a new team this year, a new organization, a new franchise, who I just kind of think he fits the bill of like what we believe in, man. Just making the game fun. Like, and that's what it's all about out there in Long Beach. Look at the unis, the best unis in the biz. These guys are having the games being played on the ice at intermissions. They're doing every little thing, man. I got a chance to talk to their broadcaster, Brian Flores, recently and help him out with a project for school. Emerson Edom of the Long Beach Shredders, man. These guys were pretty gnar, okay? These guys were shredding up in Long Beach. They went out there. They were like, I don't know, get all these guys out of the waves, okay? Make waves because I'm getting out there. I'm hitting it. We got to get something going out there bad because if we don't get out there soon, I'm going to it's going to harsh my mellow.
Well, I think you might be in charge of the project, the anti-harshing of the Mellow project. That's your baby. That you all might see coming soon, but we should definitely get out there, Dan.
Now, next up, I'm going to go to a guy who's never mellow, and this is his second consecutive year behind the bench for the All-Dan K team. Cody Murphy of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. And this is kind of a dual pick here because it lets me bring Ray Welsh in as my GM. And Cody's going to be moving on from Wilkes-Barre here, but what a job. 2 years in a row. He starts Elmira and brings them to the Nationals. He starts with Wilkes-Barre, he brings them to the Nationals and nearly to the national championship game. What a job by Cody Murphy. What a job by Ray Welsh and Wilkes-Barre in their first year in existence, man. They have 4 representatives on between the two squads here. They've got a lot of representation on this team that tells you just how talented those squads were. Incredible work by Wilkes-Barre. Lucas, who are you putting behind the bench?
Well, I'm going to start with a guy who we spent a lot of time with over the Nationals week, those 7 days. It's Coach Bill Dubs, and we call him Bill Dubs because he gets dubs, and he especially gets dubs after we change the interview format for him. It's a little bit of a running joke, but he had not had success with Dan or I on the broadcast, and as you all know, we do some interviews on the bench during games, so it hurts a little bit more to have to walk down there and ask him a couple of questions. But you know what? Our new format works. I say, Coach. He says, Lucas, and I get off the bench. uh, but it works out real well. And he's just a guy who cares. You know, I got a chance to talk to him a little bit in between games at the Cyclones arena, and just a guy who is so passionate about the game, about these players, about his team, and about the league. You know, he wants this league to be the best that it can be because he knows that, you know, that ultimately is good for everybody. So I want that kind of an attitude. And I also want a kind of guy that when he's not coaching a team that makes waves, he's he's putting the skates on, he's throwing a jersey on, and he's playing for the Fort Wayne Comets in a game or two. It's Kaylee Schrock from the Fort Wayne
Yeah,
Spacemen.
the shock
Because
rocket, man.
we thought when we saw that article, we thought it was an article from a previous season that had somehow come back up. No, he just threw on a jersey and played a couple of games for Fort Wayne. That is, you want to talk about connecting with the guys. That is someone who knows what it's like because he's still doing it. And you love that youthful energy, that youthful presence. And tell you what, the guy can hit a high note. When we did our video out in the for the Great Lakes Showcase, I mean, I told him he only had to lip sync. He went for it.
Oh, he sang it, and he sounded beautiful. We'll have to release that at some point, Lucas. I think we promised that we wouldn't, so we won't. We won't release it, but it was beautiful. He did a great job. So, I mean, look at these squads. I mean, if I'm a player right now watching this, and I'm disappointed I didn't make it, the first thing to understand is 2.4% of the entirety of the USPHL, Lucas. Also, I don't know why, but my phone just popped up for me that I met Jim Larratt's on this day 7 years ago. I don't know why. My phone needed to tell me right now. There's a picture of me with Jim Larratt, so I'll send that to you. You can pop it up on the air.
Hey, are you at work? Oh, that's crazy. So here's the thing.
You met Jim Larratt's like 7 years ago today, and you need to know that. Jim Larratt's, that's a deep cut for baseball fans. For hockey fans, you have no clue what I'm talking about. But, okay. But you look at it, 46 players between these two teams out of 64 teams. There are less players and coaches and representatives on our two teams than there are teams in the league. So teams will get missed, guys will get missed. And you know what? What we're here for is to be that bulletin board material for you. And when I played back in the day, when I was an athlete, I would take a lot of things. I would take newspaper clippings about guys I had to pitch against, talking about how they were better than me, right? Or talking about how good they were, and I'd hang them up. I had more content dealing with other teams and other players than I did about myself, around myself. And why was that? Because it surrounded me with the understanding of where I wanted to be, where I wanted to go, and what I wanted to be said about me. And that's what you have to kind of understand here is you take this, you fuel the fire, you fuel the burn, GMU Sport, and you get yourself up and running for this next season, whether you're off to college, whether you're back in the USPHL, whether you're anywhere in the junior hockey realm. Bring your best each and every day, man. That's how you get in this all Dan K and all this J team.
Yeah, and to everyone in the Premier Division, what an incredible job this season. You know, the talent level just off the charts, I think, and so many great storylines. So much more to come next year, especially with all the new teams being added to the Premier. Dan, our job gets even harder next season.
It does, but it might get a little easier because we may have some announcements coming up this summer about the All Dan K and All Lucas J teams and just some fun that might be coming here for scouts, for players, for coaches, for parents, for families. That's the kind of work we put in. It's kind of what work that our friends at GMU Sport who make everything possible for us here put in. GMUsport.com. Go there today. Again, find those links shared from the Dan K Show pages and go order your product now. Get started. The off season started yesterday, man. We got to get working. We got to get ourselves in the gym. We got to get ourselves in shape. I promise you, GMU Sport is the product for you. Lucas and I are using it right now to get ourselves back into shape and back into the running game here. I can't wait. Lucas, your parting words for today's episode.
Just keep grinding. Everybody take this. I always like to throw I always like to throw in my parting words in these episodes. I've been saving them up all season long. You got to keep grinding. Dan and I are grinding right now, and let me tell you something. It is harder to start grinding after you stop than to just keep doing it. So how about you take that mental rest, you take that mental health week or two after the season's over, and then you jump right back into it because next year is coming quicker than you think.
That's exactly right, man. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night. Thank you to all of our sponsors. GMU Sport, we thank you to Body Trick, we thank you to Selly Salt, sprinkle a little bit on the next meal. How about Remastered Sleep? Dan K Show 2022 at checkout for 10% off Remastered Sleep. Take your snoring, get rid of it, throw it out, water bottle of your dreams, just a sip. You can get all that. Elite Junior Profiles, we thank them. The Dan K Show, that's us in the back of the hat. Lucas Jones presented by Hat. Look at that. Just absolutely beautiful. Congratulations to all of our Premier, all Dan K and all Lucas J team members. Next up, you can watch the NCDC selection show coming up Tuesday of next week. Tune in.